Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the Bureau of General Services Peer Division. Tonight's event. My purpose for dying. My name is Bella. I'm a volunteer and I'm helped tonight by my partner Ben and Bonita, our new intern who arrived, I think, just this week. And I'm going to turn it over to Angela in just a moment, but I wanted to tell you all a little bit about the Bureau. We are a government agency for a government that does not yet exist. And our primary purpose, which we're all participating in tonight, is creating a space for queer books and queer culture. We are all volunteer run. Yeah, that's another really exciting thing. So we survive on donations. We have a suggested donation of $5 for events. I will pass a bag. We also take donations on Venmo at GSQD. That said, if you want to save your money and buy a book, please do that. So I'm just going to pass this and bring it over to the people we are all here to see tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. This is a room full of beautiful souls, and we couldn't be happier to have you all. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The Bureau, thank you. Thank you, all the volunteers. You know, we really are lucky and we're honored to be hosted by you tonight. Thank you. And I have to read a little bio about my mom. The author, Clyde Jeanette Shore, named after her father and paternal grandmother, grew up on a tobacco farm situated on Chicken Bridge Road, located in Chatham County, Pittsboro, North Carolina. The fourth of 7 siblings, Jeanette was able to venture away from her rural American lifestyle after graduating high school to attend business college at Chapel Hill. Due to her mother's battle with mental illness, Jeanette withdrew from college, returned home, and became the sole caretaker to her 3 younger siblings. My Purpose for Dying, an LGBTQ true story about one man's journey of self-discovery to fulfill his spiritual destiny during the height of the 1980s AIDS pandemic. As we know, we must continue to write these stories and protect all of the LGBTQ plus stories in the literature world. I'm so proud to introduce my mom, Clyde Jeanette Shore. I'm proud of you beyond. This is years of hard work. And I want to shout out over here to Anthony Dronke, our dear friend, our genius with the creative development behind the story. Thank you. Thank you so much.
My heart is full, and I thank you all so much for coming and supporting me. To see you all again and to meet some, it's overwhelming right now for me. It's love looking at your faces, and I feel like I'm feeling your hearts. But thank you so much. Okay, can you hear me okay? Yeah. I'm going to be reading a little from chapter 1, Crossing Over. February the 10th, 1994, my brother Ricky, at the age of 34, departs his life in my arms due to complications of AIDS. I'm Clyde Jeanette Shore, sister, best friend, motherly guide, and this is Ricky's life story. Holding hands with Mom, my siblings, my daughter Angela, our hearts all link as one as we slowly walk into a room of no sound. The first pew up front is ours. Ricky's favorite gospel song, "In the Garden," begins to play, and in a microsecond, our eyes flood with tears. The song brings out sobbing cries, and the others in attendance are no longer staying silent. I tremble. I tell myself, "Be strong, Jeanette. Your family needs my support." My arms and hands reach around my weeping family, feeling any second I may fall to the floor in grief. Another favorite song of Ricky's, "Anthem" by Leonard Cohen, plays. Every word resonates, and bells begin to ring. I feel a shift happening. I'm distraught and weak, and yet remembrances overwhelm me of Ricky. At his strongest near and through and through the end of his life. I envision the moment he told me he knows his purpose for dying. His evocative life stories reverberate within my heart. My body raises up and lifts my shoulders to sit taller. I stare at the Moravian altar, setting decorated with small symbols of the three essentials: faith, love, hope, and the words, "The Lamb has conquered." The little church on the lane is all lit up as sunlight streams through the stained glass windows. It feels more like a giant cathedral now. Ricky's purpose has found its way. The bond between the brother, best friend I possessed to my heart. Ricky was my son. I was 11 years old and I had to take on the role of his mother. In 1996, I started writing Ricky's story. He was working full-time and writing on the weekends, full-time, and I was writing on the weekends, going through his journals, reliving so many memories and wanting to fulfill my promise that I had made to Ricky. I chose to write in my voice in the beginning of Ricky's life until he had his own voice starting in chapter 10. And then my voice takes over again at the last chapters of his life. Why did I choose this title, My Purpose for Dying? We all have asked ourselves at some time or another, what is my purpose in life? Ricky was a young man, struggled to know his purpose in life after discovering his father didn't want him to be born and tried to kill him by jabbing a stick inside his mother's womb. And Ricky was raped at early age by his stepfather. But in the darkness, Ricky found the light. And that's when his natural born spirit came alive. Ricky was charming, handsome, outgoing, cheerful, funny, inspiring, the life of the party. His love for living was powerful with a gifted imagination. He created original ideas, concepts, especially in fashion and in the arts. Later, styling by Ricky Shore was well known by many. My purpose for dying, it's not all about dying. This is Ricky's story about loving yourself, having your freedom, your happiness, finding true love, and a Southern family with unconditional love. Ricky's story leaves you with many good life messages, such as, I'm willing to make a change, to reach beyond my limit. I'm not afraid to fail. We'll take a time here to read from chapter 10, My Days Have Dawned. He's living in a little town, East Bend, North Carolina, 1975, with his mother. And this is in Ricky's voice. I'm as special can be. I feel different inside. Sadness consumes me like a sparrow, trapped in my heart cage, wanting to roam. Then as every mile rolls over the odometer, and with East Bend behind me, excitement builds in my entire body like slow intoxication. I feel a door open inside my heart to let the sad sparrow fly away and be free. It's this moment, I'm tingling all over, and I know I can open the right door, and new days have dawned. I blast a song by Queen, Keep Yourself Alive, and with all of them. Windows roll down, my hair blows in one direction, toward Greensboro, toward Angela and Jeanette. Ah, that Freddie Mercury is hot stuff. I want to gnaw on him. I long for these fantasies to come true. My favorite rock stars are making their way to the Coliseum. I feel nervous and naughty, yet so good. Reading a little bit from chapter 11, having an imagination in Greensboro, North Carolina. Ricky's voice. I'm feeling love. My name Ricky rings out in the air around me as though I was just born. I'm 17 years old and I'm taking charge of my new life. I'm more mature. Through my mind and heart, I speak to my new world. Eyes in the back of my head by Patti LaBelle blast through our paper thin walls. Angela, Halloween is here, and I'm dressing as a Rocky Horror God tonight. Look at me. I can perfect the copycat walk of Dr. Frankenberger, a sweet transvestite from Transylvania. Angela blushes. A groove like Ian High rolls through me. I'm feeling the look and in character. I say through my wet, red hot lips. Tonight I'm going to Davis. It's a gay bar. It will be different and it will be fun. Reading a little bit of chapter 12, Riding the Wave of Life in Greensboro, North Carolina, 1979. Self-assurance blending with my innate creativity invokes radiant positive energy from deep down inside me. My vibration is attracting people to me, including a handsome, charming guy. I'm told he is a psychiatrist by day, Dr. Joseph Creedmoor. Wow, I think this man is too perfect. His smile is affection, and his strong bond structure is all male. I allow my eyes to linger for a fraction longer than is customary during my usual flirt test trial. Joseph takes the bait and gazes back unguarded and calm. Elbow to elbow, we ride in the limbos as they speed in the direction of the restaurant. The late afternoon sunlight beams in through the tinted windows, striking the cocktail bar and making it glow. Joseph is sitting next to me, and a few beams of light reflect through the crystal glasses, bouncing colorful prisms upon Joseph's face. I've always heard the sun is a star, but never grasped it until now. A tingle of satisfaction weaves through me. When Joseph turns to me, I get a good look at his brown eyes, and they remind me of sweet chocolate. Bam, I'm aroused, anxious, nervous, and happy. Reading a little bit from chapter 13, A Gay Partner. I wonder if Joseph will be my first love. Ricky, look what I found in the closet, this bear fur coat. Joseph pulls it up for me. Oh, I love it. Hand it here, I say, as I shimmy into it. I walk around the room, making silly jokes as I acted out high-class characters from the era of the Great Gatsby. Ricky, you will have to wear it this evening as we try out our friend's 1960 Rolls-Royce Silver Clown. It's for sale. What? Yes, perfect. Reading from chapter 14, Dancing Through New York City, Part 1. Ricky and his best friend, David, they moved to New York City. I'm willing to make a change, to reach beyond my limit, and I'm not afraid to fail. David, living in New York City is already producing electrifying happiness in me, the like of which I've never had before. Me too, Ricky. I'm ecstatic. Our cocktail glasses raise up, clink, and we continue giggling at our silly selves. Wherever we go, David and I always dressed madcap to the max. Wearing our sharp street vibe of enthusiasm and flair is our best accessory. It works and lands us the first jobs, our first jobs at Macy's Herald Square on Cloud 9, sporting name tags with the distinction of our title position across the bottom, visual merchandiser. The energy of it all is larger than life. I like to think growing up, directing my sisters on what to wear and more so what not to wear on their dates have paid off. At 6 years old, we did that. We got into the closet and our closet, we had one closet between 5 of us. And he'd go in there and try to help us dress and little mini skirts come flying out. Oh, man. And climbing the ladder of success in the company will only be a matter of time. My work is recognized by vice president of the stores in the corporate office, and I've asked to take the lead on all new projects and promotions handed down to my department. I love my work. I say, we signed a lease on a studio apartment in the East Village. It's a tiny place, and we must leap over our one mattress like two happy fawns playing in a meadow. We shared one closet, and it's jam-packed straight away with all the high-end fashion attire we purchased at Macy's using our employee discount. I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor, blast out on the radio. We scream our lungs out with the song. Being asked into the most popular nightclub on the planet, Studio 54 is no guarantee or virtually impossible. There's always a huge crowd under the marquee plus a line down the street and wraps around the block. For inspiration getting ready, David and I perfect our dance moves and dress or undress each other at the same time. It's extremely important to style our looks to be sexy, original, and to the perfection of entry past the red velvet robes. David likes to say, less is more, darling. Flirting with the blonde doorman helps in our case too. He will surely remember us each week, and we never need to wait in a bridge or tunnel crowd, says David. Once inside, the scene is bizarrely phenomenal. An orgasmic light and the sound show invigorates our already electrified selves, hijacking our energy to the next level beyond our self-control. Our bodies glide effortlessly under the neon crescent moon and in sync with the bouncing crowd, all of us in time to the nonstop disco music blaring crystal clear through banks of mega speakers. Wait, stop, David grabs me. Let's patter our noses before we hit the dance floor. David pulls out a glass bottle filled with Coke and blows a bump on the tip of his apartment key. I'll go first, he giggles at me. We both stare up at the neon crescent moon. In the 80s roll in, along with the virus called AIDS. It's headline news across the country. Paranoia sets in among the gay community. Already, I want to cure Ricky thinks. Reading from chapter 16, Hot Atlanta during the 80s. This is Atlanta, Georgia, 1981. One baby step at a time, I'm climbing up closer to my dreams. Or last, I come up with my own original question. Walking girls, I suppose. I asked David in my best PV impersonation. Head tilted, eyes rolled, and my hand patting on the top of my head. Oh, it's my name, look. do that all the time. Ricky, you crack me up every time you do that. Our laughter and jokes are contagious. My little car becomes our taxi. David, our fine pieces of clothing are worth more than my car. The radio blast Needed by Michael Jackson. We can't believe it. Look at that. We yell out to the stereo. The line into Limelight stretches all the way down Piedmont Road. Inside I scream, Rebecca. She comes running and we dance to my favorite, Let's Dance by David Bowie. The walls display celebrity photos and every week someone famous shows up in the VIP room. Drinks splatter around us and all bodies bump to the beat. Tonight I noticed more guys here, boys I should say, and in those little rooms toward the back, people are making out left and right. Poppers are passed around and black beauties litter the floor like polka dots. Dressing models is natural for me. One top model, Molly, becomes another good friend. Beautiful Molly, the tall blonde, $1 million smile. Over time and work related with different poses and changing clothes, she accidentally shows me all her body parts, private parts that any man would ever see. I would be squatting down and pinning clothes on her. I would say, girl, for God's sake, please keep those legs closed and don't be flashing your candy bar in my face. Laugh, all twirling. Reading a little from chapter 17, AIDS epidemic. Take action, Atlanta, Georgia, 1987. Ricky, you have tested positive for HIV, the retrovirus which causes AIDS. My insides freeze and my emotions catapult into a zero zone. My head falls into my hands and my words take a piece of my soul. Reading from a little from chapter 19, Embracing Key West. Hi, Jeanette. Before I leave for Europe, I want to fill you in on my trip to Key West. Yes, tell me, Ricky. I've met someone. His name is Thomas. He's loving, sweet, romantic, and humble. There's something pure about him. I love him. Reading a little bit from chapter 21, Archangel. Ricky. Oh God, I pray you will fill me. Reading a little bit from chapter 22, Finding Joy in Love in France. It's Ricky, Heaven and France. Thomas, on this trip in the cathedrals and churches, I reached out to God in prayer, leading me to find it in my heart to forgive my father for not wanting me. I forgave the man who raped me as a child. I also asked God to forgive me for all the sins, my sins too. I didn't have to be in church to find forgiveness, but while there, I was able to open my heart in a way it's never been opened before. Ricky, I'm glad to hear you have chosen to explore forgiveness as a healing tool in your life, for it is a sacred journey. Forgiveness is the most powerful medicine I've found to heal the human heart and soul. When we forgive, we lay down our burdens of fear and anger and welcome cleansing love to fill us completely. Our arms wrap around each other. In Thomas's embrace, I start believing there is nothing out there to fear. I think of what he says to me, a part of my life stays with you as part of yours stays with me. Reading a little bit from chapter 26. I'm asking the universe for guidance. Now I must learn through experience to recognize and trust the signs I receive. Wow, look at me in Nice, France. I can't believe I'm staying in Richard Wright's chateau, tickling the ivories of Elton John's piano. I close my eyes and imagine the ocean breeze whispering soft nothings to me like a lover like Thomas. He's with me, lying back. Thomas and I turn to each other and with one eye open and whisper at the same time, I love you. Our heads turn toward the godly sun. Our eyes close and we listen to the ocean's soft lullaby, breathing in potent salty air. It's a feeling you get after reading the perfect love letter. And it grants me the strength to be who I'm born to be. Reading a little from chapter 28, New York. I have the results from your blood test, Dr. Paul's voice drops. You are full-blown AIDS. The skin biopsy came back positive for KS. On the plane, looking out the window, I see the Statue of Liberty and the skyline from far. I imagine I'm in heaven, looking down on my before life. Reading a little bit from chapter 32, Compassion, back in Charlotte, with Clyde Jeanette Shulman. Look beyond your pain to see the pain of others. Ricky, are you up for a quick visit with Joseph? He's on the phone, he's nearby. His eyes light up with joy. Yes, yes. In a matter of minutes, Joseph arrives with a handful of snow white fresh cut lilies. The flamboyant flowers grab our attention with their intoxicating scent that we love so much. Hey Ricky, how are you today? Reading from chapter 33 a little bit. Dressing with style and is more than wearing the right clothes. It's about how you carry yourself. If you're uncomfortable in what you're wearing, it will show. Confidence, they say, is the best accessory one can wear. My head is feeling a little woozy, Ricky says, as he rubs his forehead. Nurse Miller, I need to tell you something. Sure. She pauses. Well, Mr. Ricky, go ahead. What is it? You must take those shoulder pads out of your shirts. This is the 90s. Shoulder pads are not cool anymore. Please take them all out. They make me dizzy. Reading from another page in that chapter. Excited to share with Ricky, I hurry upstairs, carrying muffins on a long china plate on a silver tray. Oh my God. I cry out in shock. I'm taken aback by Ricky's distorted appearance. I stumble against his walker, trying to get the tray on the table. Ricky, can you hear me? Ricky. No answer, no response. Just a frozen skinny body in a comatose-like state. His head tilts to one side of the pillow. I call the doctor and the doctor rushes over and works with Ricky. He had been given too much morphine, but we'll be okay. Later, I go back upstairs to check on Ricky. Jeanette, Ricky says faintly, and in his room, my world is rich with life again. Yes, Ricky, our eyes meet, and I stand next to him. You have been out for a while, going somewhere else? Jeanette, I've been in Hong Kong. Wow, how about that? Well, what were you doing in Hong Kong? Well, I got a fantastic massage and I had a couple of suits made. I was also on the production shoot for a commercial with Liz. His eyes light up with a flicker. Styling by Ricky Shore is officially international. Reading from chapter 35, My Purpose for Dying. In nature, the time for a young bird to leave the nest is healthy and right. Leaving can be part of loving. Our loving bonds are strong and last an eternity. I fell into a dream, and it was like being caught on the carousel of thoughts. Well, being in a secret garden, I must tell you about it, he says. Okay, yes, do. Angela and I sit on the edge of the bed. It was somewhere unfamiliar, with emerald green rolling hills and pastures broken up by lush hedgerows, liken it to a great patchwork quilt raised by sheep. The warm air was potent with fragrance of ylang ylang and jasmine. Countless varieties of wildflowers were in bloom, and their delicate petals danced in the sweet breeze like confetti. Butterflies were like enchanted fairies, glittering from flower to flower, and birds danced in the air, chirping sacred songs while flying around me. Baby goats and lambs grazed over the grass and skipped around with butterflies riding on their backs. It was truly a magical place. I was young, a boy. I was healthy. It was peaceful. It was heavenly, and I was happy. I was in heaven. Another scene. Jeanette, I've got to tell you my wonderful dream. My purpose for dying was shown to me. His cheeks flush. I can see a powerful feeling, like the emotion of joy, bursting him into an excited state. It is if all the love in his body forces him right up into a sitting position in bed. I saw myself. I was young and healthy. I honor him with the title of this book, My Purpose for Dying. I don't tell you the purpose for dying, so you'll have to read the book. Thank you all so much. Support my heart. Thank you, thank you. I can't say it enough. God bless you all. Thank you.
Anyone have questions? A question for the author?
Full disclosure, I worked for Macy's for over 20 years and it's kind of awesome. It's the only reason I ever been close to, so that I connected with that. You talked early on about how chapters 10 and 11, I believe, were in his voice.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that journey and how that kind of happened in the book and kind of how we should?
Well, in time with him growing up, the book begins with before his birth, and then birth, me taking care of him and watching him grow up. And so around chapter 10, he gets older, around 17. He takes charge of himself or away from me, having to take care of him day by day. And so he has his own voice. He wants to be older and be individual and have his freedom, and he wants his everybody to hear his voice. Thank you.
Anyone else? Beatrice.
I have a question. Are you gonna make this into a film? Because this whole time I see images and I hear a voice, and it's such a great story. You should think about that. I don't know if that's the answer.
When I wrote it, I could feel and see it as a movie. Yes, I did.
Yeah, it even has a soundtrack already.
Yeah. That was truly it. He played all that music all the time, and on the days before passing away, actually it was more than days, couple months. There was music that filled the room every day, especially with Leonard Cohen. And he loved Leonard Cohen, and still have it, still play him. That riddle that Angela helped me with. Hallelujah. Oh, I see that. It breaks my heart every time.
I want to say something, but I just wanted, it's not really a question, but I think your imagery for somebody who's known Angela for as long as I have, I can see so much of Ricky in her, like, it's just amazing. It's amazing how, you know, I know how close they were. And this is just like everything about Ricky and her the music and all of that stuff. So it's just wonderful to, I never got a chance to meet Ricky, unfortunately, but I feel like I know him through Ange and having that relationship. So that.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I totally understand. Her best friend.
He was like my brother.
I was his mother.
We are wild. A lot of things that mom doesn't know about.
Don't ask my child.
Teresa is a great witness. Beatrice.
Yeah, what I was gonna say, because I kept on seeing the visual also as we were reading, I kind of felt that, but for a lot of us here, you know, that we've lost, friends. Lots of friends and lots of young people, but it, it's very emotional to me right now sitting here because, I can think about it with my friends. And so, I can envision what he was going through, how he was living in the 80s. It just brought all of that back to me, you know, so thank you for writing this. Because
Thank
it's
you.
all about all of it.
You know, they have their own story too. Yeah, we're all individual.
Get a little closer. There's a part in the book of Teresa. Teresa,
We're not gonna talk about.
yeah. Tell a funny story. It's
a
great.
very fun story. But my comment here is just Ricky is the one that introduced me to Angela at 16 years old.
And Paul.
And Paul.
We were the three of us.
And, you know, I had, when he passed. Okay, you good? Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
All right, I'll speak again. But, no, I'm not, okay. But him, coming up to the counter, the Chanel counter, which is a department store. And I work behind the counter. And I thought, smelling the bar. And he lit it up to the counter like a little, just a beautiful fairy with wings and just beauty. And in that first introduction to him, I felt immediately disarmed, which is what he did to everyone, which was disarm them. And the meeting Angela and having her become my sister, truly, and you another mother, and him a brother. I cannot tell you, going to a channeler that channels are deceased. He came and he showed up in a huge way. He came in a way that you described, that he said to the nurse, take your shoulder pads off. He said, she has a lot of great clothes, but she still doesn't know how to dress.
Oh, my God.
And gift to this planet, to everyone that he touched.
Yes.
Beyond. I don't want to cry. Thank you, but.
So I know there was this question, so I did a lot of the creative development. I've known Angela since '93, and then I met Clyde Jeanette, who I was still calling Mama Clyde, because Angela introduced me. And we used to celebrate holidays when she was in New York. But going back to, the story when it was handed to me was in still the manuscript form. And there was a lot of her history from the family that we had to, well, I had to decide. It was so rich. It's just like the South, the 50s, growing up on a tobacco farm. She was the fourth, which ended up being of 7. So much story going. And then Ricky was born and he was gay. So there was this background of just, having grown up on a farm with lots of kids and that whole lifestyle. And then this little brother shows up and he's just, this big ball of light, even young. So I'm reading this and I'm like, it was also titled a little differently, but Clyde was more about wanting to really focus on the story of someone who died of AIDS, and mostly because how we talked about it, it almost was like the defining thing at the time. It was like if you had AIDS, their whole life was just no one wanted to know about it, or the story wasn't told. And I felt like the backbone of our country, had a lot of gay people that we just never heard about, because then the AIDS happened. So it was about them dying of AIDS. It wasn't what life they lived, family they had, activists being activists and getting more aid to people with AIDS, or even any pandemic, or just the equality. So going back to the question of, when we've talked about it, like, how do we see the book? What kind of story is it? It is a real true story written in the style of a novel. So when you're reading it, there'll be different people talking as they come into the story, as they're talking in their life, as it was recited to Clyde from Ricky. So there's even your mother and father talking in the beginning chapters. Yeah, exactly. So it's very interesting concept and development. And it was done for the fact that maybe it should be a docuseries, and this could possibly be a pilot. Because part of my purpose for dying, Ricky does have a purpose, and I'm not going to spoiler alert it here. You'll find out. But I think a lot of the purpose there is how much we don't talk about what the actual, like, there's a bigger purpose in just when someone passes or crosses over, they don't really die. They leave us together. And then we get together and we meet and we talk, and those stories, and they're only shared between the people at maybe the memorial. But these stories should be told. And I really think, again, going back to, LGBTQ+, our country thrived with this, but it was always buried. So hopefully this could be a catalyst of maybe turning into more of a docuseries, of having other stories told, like really rich, fabulous stories, about the country and where you grew up, how you were repressed and then overcame it, and or not, and then helped other people. So hopefully it's like a catalyst for that as well. Yeah, that's where we developed it to go. So maybe a movie, maybe a docuseries. We'll see.
Right.
I love you. Any more questions or anyone? Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna sign books.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
purchase the book. Rich, we're going back in a minute.
Then we bring it in.
We've got it, if you didn't know.